Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Moss, and in this video, I'm going to introduce you to database monitoring in Splunk Observability Cloud. Database monitoring provides detailed database performance visibility and helps you spot and resolve slow, inefficient queries across your entire database fleet with rich query metrics. With the new database monitoring capability, you get the following features: query statistics and analytics like CPU time, rows read compared to rows returned, and execution plans. You can also correlate query performance with application traces using Splunk APM, and even link query analytics with Splunk infrastructure monitoring to pinpoint resource-intensive queries. Here are some current limitations of the database monitoring capability. Your database platform must be Microsoft SQL Server or Oracle database, and your Splunk region must be one of the ones listed here. With that, let's take a look at what database monitoring offers in Splunk Observability Cloud. In order to access the database monitoring capability, you would navigate to the APM sidebar and then select Database Monitoring Overview. Then you can select a time range over which you want to view the telemetry data of your instrumented databases. And what I want to know across my fleet of databases is which are the worst performing databases in terms of how long queries take to execute on those database instances. And right at the top of the overview page, I can see the top 5 instances by total duration in seconds. And I can clearly see where there's spikes in query duration for a given database instance. But I could also view top 5 instances by executions or CPU time. Although I could select an instance from the top 5 instances time series panel, what I'd want to do is come down to the table and then sort by the average duration. And this immediately tells me which database instance has the highest average duration for its queries. From this table, we can see there's a huge difference between the first and second highest duration, query duration, with this top database taking an average of 31 seconds compared to 70 milliseconds. So I'm going to open up this database instance. The first tab that it takes me to is the queries page, where I can see this time series panel that shows me active sessions to the database in aggregate. But what I'm looking for is which query has the highest average duration. If I scroll down to the query table, I can sort by average duration, and we should be able to see what is the highest average duration query. And you can see that there's really 2 queries here that take up quite a bit of time to execute. Once I've identified a query that I want to further analyze, I can select that query. And we can actually get a visualization of the estimated execution plan of the database. We can also see query-specific metrics, samples, and then an important feature here is trace correlation, which would show traces, if there are any related traces to this particular query, it would show them in a table here. I might be able to find a database that actually has this correlation configured. And in this particular database instance, you can see that there are correlated traces that are hyperlinked. So when we select the trace ID, it will actually take us directly to that trace waterfall in APM. And if I look at the SQL Server instance tab, I can get server specific metrics like the number of user connections and the number of databases that exist in this instance. We can also see query samples and query metrics across all of the queries for this database instance. And we can look at these metrics both in aggregate as well as the top 10 queries. If there's any dependencies, we'll see them in the Dependencies tab, and then we can also see metadata related to this database instance. With the new database monitoring capability, you can quickly identify performance bottlenecks across your entire database fleet and correlate that database performance data to traces in APM as well as infrastructure metrics. There's more database engines coming soon, so be sure to stay tuned for additional updates. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, we'd love to hear your feedback. And if you're interested in trying Splunk Observability Cloud yourself, you can navigate to this link to claim your free 14-day trial. Thanks for watching.